Hello, welcome. How are you? I hope you're well. Welcome to Real Geeks and Comic Speak. Real Geeks and Comic Speak. Yeah, where we talk about all things geek related. So if you're into film, comic books, anime, anything that's in your wheelhouse of geekdom, we will talk about it.
Hopefully we'll get to everything.
Hopefully, probably not, but we're gonna go for it. So
I'm Zach Slater.
And we're going to talk about some geek stuff. So if you like what you hear in today's episode, smash button and subscribe and share with all of your fellow geeks and nerds. Spread the word. We want to hear from you so we can talk about your geek stuff. Speaking of which, we're going to talk about some geek stuff. So I'm sure, like other geeks, we all have one geek thing we cannot live without.
Yes.
You have a geek thing you can't live without?
I have many things I can't live without, but if I'm going to put, like, this is top of the list, right?
Yeah.
This is the top of the list topic, right? This is a desert island, one thing you can't live without.
I guess I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
Could I live without
That's
this
how I
desert
approach
island?
mine.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my topic would totally get me through if I was on a desert island. Yeah, so we're going to share each other's what is your geek thing you can't live without? So we want to hear from you as well. So in the comment section, put down below, what's your geek thing you can't live without? It could be anything. Film, TV, video games, comics. We're going to talk about it all. So mine's a little weird. It's a little
I
weird.
want to hear about it. Let's get into it.
It's a little weird. It's a little crazy. All right. It's a little complex.
Okay.
There's a rabbit hole that you can go down. I think I spent every 30 years of my life going down this rabbit hole, and I don't think I'll stop.
Okay.
I'm not going to stop. So, my geek thing is a little genre I like to call tokusatsu. Say it with me, Zach. Tokusatsu. That's right. Tokusatsu is
yes, explain it.
Yeah, it could be many things, but essentially I can summarize it, or many would summarize it as essentially special effects, live action special effects. Okay. So immediately what comes to mind, the godfather, if you will, of the genre in Japan is Godzilla. So giant monsters, mech robots, practical effects, those miniature sets that blow up and explode, and the monster or figure is standing super tall, sparks are flying, blood splattering. That is tokusatsu in a nutshell. But when I think about tokusatsu, I think about my what I like to call the Mount Rushmore of tokusatsu, the people that kind of started it all, the shows and material that kind of keeps the genre alive and even benefited pop culture today as we know it. Heavy impact on pop culture. But the godfather of it all is Godzilla.
Okay.
So Godzilla kind of started it all. Giant monster suits, practical effects, a guy in a suit, building miniature sets and blowing up buildings.
Yeah.
You know, eating people, breathing fire, you know, that whole thing.
Sometimes helping people.
Sometimes. But do we like helpful Godzilla? Do we? I don't know.
I don't really. We should do a poll on that.
That's a good point. Do you like hero Godzilla? Savior Godzilla? Tell us in the comments. I'm not so sure.
I can eat it. But
yeah, I actually enjoyed -1. Did you see Godzilla
I've not seen
-1?
-1. I've heard excellent things about it.
Yeah, it's a great version of evil Godzilla. True, original OG Godzilla.
Interesting.
That terrorizes.
Evil Godzilla is cool too.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you a question though. So I'm looking at your still here. So I see Godzilla. Is there a costume design component to this? Because I'm thinking about like the costumes for Godzilla and all the monster stuff, like back in the 50s and 60s were all awesome. And the Power Ranger component of it, I'm thinking like the Zords and all that stuff. And, and their monsters are pretty cool looking too, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah, exactly. And in fact, they're all essentially derivatives of each other, right? So like Godzilla was kind of the genesis, if you will, of the craft, right? So you get those giant monsters and the cool mech suits, the Megazords, those giant robots, the concepts for how to execute those effects. I mean, that Godzilla kind of started it all. To kind of piggyback off of that, you mentioned on the screen there are other characters here on the screen, right? So we have Ultraman, which is another fan favorite. Ultraman had its own series here, syndicated English dub. Here in America back in the 70s.
Yeah, that's right.
I believe it was the 70s. Don't quote me. I don't actually know, but it was a long time ago. And then, of course, Kamen Rider or Max Rider, it could be translated as. That's another notable figure. That is a show that I cherish.
Yeah, a really cool motorcycle, right?
Yes.
Remember that? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
He did. Yes. Kamen Rider is notorious for its signature motorcycle designs as a part of his character.
Okay.
He rides a motorcycle. Sometimes he rides a cool car. Sometimes he rides a cool car. Some of the diehard Kamen Rider fans are going to fight me in the comments because they don't like the cars, but I like the cars.
Okay.
The cars are cool.
You like both.
Yeah, you can like both. There's nothing wrong with that. It's still a machine on wheels. You know,
still cool.
Same thing. And then you got Power Rangers, right? So you're probably like, who are these guys? You know, they don't look like Power Rangers, although they are coming in an assortment of colors. But this right here is Go Ranger, and they are the first Power Ranger team. So a lot of people don't know.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that Power Rangers is the American adaptation of a series called Super Sentai. Say it with me, Super.
Oh, Super Sentai. Sorry.
There we go. Super Sentai is it's been going on for a long time. Long time, many, many years. In fact, I think next year, 2025, would be the 50th anniversary. But Go Ranger or Super Sentai is the series that American adapts Power Rangers off of.
Okay, right.
Yeah, so this is actually the first original Power Ranger team. So without these guys, we wouldn't have Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and all the,
really surprising.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, right?
Looking at that, like I thought, looking at this one, that was like one of the later incarnations of Power Rangers, because I watched it when I was a kid, but I didn't stick with it. And I know, from like watching commercials and stuff like that, and like there's a million versions of it.
A million.
Cosmic.
And
all that stuff. And I'm not throwing shade at it. It's just like it got a lot to follow.
Oh yeah.
And what strikes me is that that's from what year?
This the 70s. Don't quote me on the year.
Okay.
Right. If it's 75, next year would be the 50th. So I believe it's 75. Don't beat me up, super fans. All right.
What strikes me is how much it hasn't changed.
Oh yeah, exactly.
That looked modern.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. I totally agree. So modern that other people wanted to have it before Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And I'll even give you a hint. There was one particular very famous person that us nerds cherish near and dear to our hearts who also wanted a slice of the IP pie.
Okay.
I'll give you a hint who it is. He is responsible for developing a very spectacular hero.
Okay.
Marvel comic hero who's spectacular, sometimes amazing.
Just like Stanley Kubrick. 2001 adaptation. Still works. Am I right?
Yeah, Stan Lee.
Okay.
Stan Lee. Yeah. Stan Lee tried to get his hands on the IP. Didn't work out, but I believe that collaboration gave us Japanese Spider-Man, which is Spider-Man with a giant Megazord.
He's to blame.
Darn you, Stan Lee. We love Stan Lee.
Yes, of course.
But yeah, of course.
So Stanley, actually Stanley.
Yeah.
MCU cameo.
He tried.
Creator of everybody. That's crazy.
Yeah. Isn't that
crazy?
crazy?
To me at that time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So imagine if that had went through, if they got the green light, if it didn't take so long for producers to say, we'll give these teenagers with attitude a chance. Right. What could it have been? Could Stan Lee be eating the Power Ranger cake right now? We don't know.
We'd have even more.
Yeah.
More money.
Wouldn't that be crazy? And then we'd see a Power Ranger crossover in the MCU. Endgame would be Power Rangers. And he'd be like on your left. And it'd be like 100 Power Rangers coming through those Those magic portals.
It goes like the Dragon Sword.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh my
that was
gosh,
awesome.
that would be epic. That would be epic. Well, that's my geek thing. But what about you? What's your geek thing?
My geek. So you've known me for a while. This is surprising.
Oh man,
it's not a stretch.
Oh man,
this is Batman the Animated Series.
It's
easy. This is the easiest question I've ever had in my life.
Look at that. Look at that.
So not to be too heavy-handed with it. God, that image gets me.
It's beautiful.
It's
such glorious. Look at that.
It's so minimalistic and but it's so like clearly Batman. Yeah. So let me get around. I'll go around about it for a second. So Patton Oswalt had in his book Silver Screen Fiend. He talks about night cafes. So it's a term he calls night cafes. And it's derived from the fact that when he saw Van Gogh's night cafe in real life, it had such a profound effect on him, like creatively, that like as he put it, you walk in one room and you come out a different person. Right?
Like Batman.
Batman, exactly. Batman the Animated Series was my night cafe. Right. So I was obviously like at like formative age for it, which I feel like that's all geekdom is. A lot of like falling in love with the stuff you liked as a kid,
of course,
and it's staying with you. But so it was it's a Fox Kids show. It's a show that ran on Fox Kids. It was produced by Warner Brothers Animation, 1992 to 1995. And it gave birth to the DC animated universe of Superman the Animated Series, Justice League, Batman Beyond, aka the Timverse, named after Bruce Timm, right, who developed all these shows and everything. So
I don't think I knew it was called the Timverse.
You never heard that term?
I don't think
really?
so. I might have and just didn't realize.
He somehow gets like all the credit for it. I mean, he was the creator that like stayed through all of them. Like some of them kind of fell off and went to do some of their own shows. I mean, I think it's a group effort like everything, but he was definitely like the main one. But yeah, so anyway, worth pointing out that at the time this came out, there hadn't been like a solo Batman cartoon for like 15 years.
Wow.
It was like the Filmation one from like 1977.
Right.
Last time.
That's what I think about.
So this was big. This was big in its day. And even ran in primetime for some, which, and it was also like Saturday. It made like the schoolyard, like what episode you watched, weird conversation. Be like, wait, you saw Catwoman in yours? I didn't see that. I saw Mr. Freak. Anyway, so.
Well, I mean, that's a good point, right? Because I remember growing up and watching the cartoon, and I remember being fascinated with being exposed to like Batman's Rogues Gallery, seeing all the different villains. I think that's when I got my introduction to Mr. Freeze, other than Arnold Schwarzenegger, which
right.
We're not gonna go down that rabbit hole. Oh man. But I one iconic episode that stands out to me is for whatever reason, I really loved the Clayface episode. I thought he was such an interesting character. And I've always been an advocate for why not do crazy, outlandish characters like that on screen. Like that would be. I would love to see Warner Brothers, if you're listening, Clayface live action, make it happen. I think that'd be great.
That'd be really cool. Clayface live action would be cool. Yeah, and I mean, and they were very much aware of that. I think like their first episode is Man Bat. They very much came out of the gate with like, we're not, they got the Joker pretty fast, but it was calculated that we're not going to hit you with somebody that appeared in one of the Adam West shows that everybody knew about, that my grandmother knew about.
So do you have a favorite episode?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Many. I mean, it changes with my mood, but Man Who Killed Batman is like one of the real standouts.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Man Who Killed Batman.
So that this is kind of like, it's kind of a quirky plot. So this is the title card for it because they did all these like awesome title cards for each episode. It was like beautifully painted, like sums up the thing in one image. Which I like. I love that. But so I'll get to the episode in a second. But like my night cafe moment for this is after these title cards, they then cut to like the credits, like who wrote the episode, who directed the episode. And I've like watched these a million times by that time. And so I'm like 9, 10 at this point. And I'm starting to actually like read the words finally instead of just like waiting for the episode to start. And I started realizing that this one guy, named Paul Dini, tended to write. He was this name that was like attached to almost like all of my favorite episodes.
Oh man.
That was the moment that I made a connection that like, TV is made by people that think of these ideas and write it down. And so that like up until that point, when I had learned about like writers and authors and stuff like that, it had always been books, wrote books. It never occurred to me that TV and movies and other things had writers. I didn't like, I don't know how I thought it was made, but just never put it together. So that was the big moment for me where I was like, oh wow, like it was like the first creator I started following.
It's interesting you said that because it reminds me of when I watched Power Rangers. Other than Haim Saban, who we know is notoriously responsible, for giving us Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, other than his production bumper being all over the episode. It always stood out to me that, producer or executive producer, whatever, Haim Saban. And he was on every other show that he had attachments with. And I think for me, that was my moment when I was like, oh, wait. Shows have producers and writers, and they can work on multiple things and create multiple ideas. So that's pretty cool.
And more importantly, almost, is that you are more likely to like something made by that person again.
Right.
And that's so much geekdom, I think, is just like following, a creator through their career. And so this is one of the many, effects that this show had on my life. So this episode I really, really dig because it's kind of a film noir plot.
Yeah.
In the perfect sense of the word. There's this like little meekish wannabe criminal guy. His name is Sidney Dubree. They call him Sid the Squid. That's the nickname they give him. Like nobody
Sid the Squid.
Nobody thinks much of him at all. He's he's this little like nerdy guy, but wants to be a player in the crime world, Gotham City. Mm-hmm. So then he gets into some situation where he gets into a scuffle with Batman, and it looks like he's actually the guy that killed Batman. And he starts running off of this, and then there's like a convergence of like the criminal underworld. Like some think he's like the new kingpin, some are trying to get him because I'm like, if I get the guy that got Batman, what does that make me? That guy Joker is in a really cool like supporting character role where he mourns for Batman like in a really, really interesting way, and and he like
they need each other.
They do.
What would they do without each other?
Absolutely. It's an awesome scene in the Dark Knight. But yeah, it's a beautiful like funeral moment that he throws. I don't want to spoil the episode. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it if you haven't. But he does like a funeral for Batman. There's like this really cool like eulogy he does for him where he starts getting like, as he's talking, he starts getting like worked up at Sid for taking Batman away from him. It's really, really cool. And so one of the things I came with was this shot with the phone, but this is like from a book that I have that's actual storyboards from the episode. So the director of the episode was also Bruce Timm, the big so story for the production of the show is that sometimes the show would get behind and he would have to come out and actually direct episodes. So this is one he actually directed. And this whole sequence he actually boarded himself. Wow. So this is him. Like and I just love how crystal clear it looks. We're like this, this thing has just started like it's just getting it's getting worked up, and I love it. Yeah, it's so great. Yeah, it's an awesome episode. I love it.
Yeah, I gotta check it out. Yeah, like I said, the Clayface one stands out to me the most. Of course, like all the Catwoman episodes and stuff like that. Also, I think that show was my first exposure to Nightwing.
Oh, really?
And I fell in love with Nightwing and Dick Grayson as a character. My dad had all of the OG Nightwing comics when he had the gold.
Oh, wow. Way back when.
Oh, man. I thought that was the coolest suit, the coolest design. Anyone that knows me knows I love Nightwing. Please bring him in live action. Titans on Max it's pretty good, but come on. We're waiting. We need it. We need it to happen.
I don't quite understand why they are dragging their feet on the character.
Titans was a good start, but I'm ready to see a cinematic Nightwing. So James Gunn, hopefully you got some secret sauce because
they'll get to it.
Yeah, that's a whole nother.
Yeah, I think this show. Right, I'm hardly alone.
Yeah,
in this, I think a lot of comic creators I think grew up on this show. You're starting to see that its influence is making its way in the books. Where, a lot of like people are designing the Batmobile the way it looked in the show.
Yeah,
and blimps flying over Gotham.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it's permeating like so much.
Yeah, I mean, it you know, totally crosses over, you know, pop culture as well, right? I don't think I can go reading a Batman comic or watch any other form of Batman without hearing Kevin Conroy.
Yeah.
You know, same with Joker.
Same way. Yeah.
Like same with Joker. I can't see Joker and not think of Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. I mean, this is fun. This is fun to talk about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. You know, everyone has their geek thing they can't live without. For us, you know, it's a amalgamation of things. We want to hear yours. So again, drop the comments, type away, keyboard. Tell us what is your geek thing you can't live without. We'd love to hear it, and maybe we'll talk about it next time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. Thanks for watching, everybody. So if you like what you saw, you can find us on YouTube, Instagram, and X at MyMC Media. And we'll do more of these, won't we, Zach?
Absolutely.